Welcome to my second dumpster fire of a video. Now, you may have noticed I switched to an AI voice, and that's because I get tongue-tied too easily. So I'll be doing this going forward. Just chalk it up to one of my numerous failings. Anyway, I'm sorry to do this on only my second video, but I've got a bone to pick with this community now that I've done some more research into Gunpla videos. Now, if I could just refer you to the following Gunpla channels. Now there, and there to show a few. I mean, what the hell? They're all married! After seeing those, I just feel so betrayed. I thought that when you decided to give up all your extra free time to make videos about your man toys, you'd accepted you were too awkward for social interactions and would die alone. But apparently this is a community of Casanova Chads. I mean, did I just get let in on accident? Am I the only one single in this community? I mean, look at this channel. It's a woman running it. I didn't even know that was possible. I feel like I'm really out of touch or looking at a unicorn. Oh yeah, and just to rub it in, she's also married. Hell, this guy even reproduced! I can't even get a fat chick. Not that I don't love fat chicks. I do. They just don't love me back. No chubby loving for me. Anyway, for the comments, are there like Gunpla rave parties I'm not aware of? What's your relationship status? Did I stumble into a married guy hobby, or are most of you just as single as me? If you're all as single as me, what's up with all the married creators? Is it like a YouTube thing where if you hit like 50K subscribers, they like hook you up with a Russian bride or something? I'm asking for a friend. Now, as you can probably see in the background, I let the video begin playing without sound. This is because I continued many of my mistakes from the last video. For this one, the sound quality still wasn't great, and there were several points where you can hear YouTube videos playing in the background. However, that isn't why this video doesn't have any sound. So first off, I still didn't really know what I was doing in terms of building, taking video, or some additional customization I get into here, so it was very slow going. I ended up with over 20 hours of video, and just editing down video takes me about 2 to 3 times whatever the length of the video is. Furthermore, this was one of the first videos I really spent time editing, so it took even longer than normal as I was still new to it and learning a lot of the controls and such. I have gotten a lot faster and better, but I probably put a full month and 40 to 60 hours of time into this one video. That's why. Even though these first couple videos are train wrecks, I still wanted to upload these even if they are just to laugh at or for my own satisfaction. And that, my friends, is a really long and roundabout way of saying I forgot to unmute the edits when I exported it as a video. Which wouldn't have been a problem except I moved all the raw video to an external hard drive for storage and deleted them and all my edits off my main computer to free up space. Meaning I would have to start from scratch and take another month to re-edit all the video. And as we've already established, this is a dumpster fire, and I'd rather take that time to put out additional videos of better quality now that I know what I'm doing. So instead of build sounds, you're going to get my rambling commentary for this video. Maybe I'll manage sound on the next one. But we're not out of dumpster fire territory yet, so don't hold your breath. Now let's cover some of the other mistakes I've made here besides the sound. The first obvious one is I again lost the footage for the start of the build. Again, taking actual video is the most important thing to creating a video. Yet somehow I have messed this up 2 videos in a row. On the bright side, instead of losing the first 60% of the video like last time, I've only lost about 10 to 20%. So I guess I'm improving? Maybe improving is a bit of a strong word. Perhaps it's better to say I'm failing less. It's like, yes, I crashed the car again. Yes, it's going to cost us thousands of dollars, but it's not completely totaled. After some repairs, duct tape, and prayers, it'll still run. Anyway, I reshot the intro and just took apart the pieces I'd already built to be rebuilt. If you look at the beginning of the video, you can see some runners, missing pieces, and bowls with some pieces already inside before I even start clipping. Now, in case you thought I'm just new and not that stupid, I would like to refer you to the video playing in the background right now. I decided to try painting my model this time, so I'm testing out some top coats and black spray paint to see how they turn out. And yes, I figured the best way to do this would be with a used pizza box on top of my family room carpet. If you're watching with horror now thinking this will end terribly, well, I'll tell you that you are absolutely correct. And yes, I just spray painted my filthy old carpet. The only downside to not having sound is you cannot hear my soul crushing and slow, oh no, of utter defeat and shame here. When this was shot, it was the first time in 6 years I didn't have roommates. And after my initial shame and self-loathing wore off, all I could think for days was, thank Jesus I was single. I cannot imagine having to explain this to a significant other. I mean, for those of you living with a lover, how dead would you be if you had to explain to them why there was spray paint on the carpet? I can't help but imagine it myself, and I'm not proud to say my first instinct would be to lie. Pull one of those, rush to Bed Bath & Beyond, and grab the first area rug that would cover the stain and rushing back before I got caught. And since I was already lying, I'd probably try and go all the way, Pull one of those. Honey, look what I got! For you! I was just really appreciating what a forgiving person you are and wanted to surprise you with something nice. No, I don't think it would look better in the kitchen. No, I don't think it's a good idea to move it for just a minute to see what it'd look like in the kitchen. I'm not being weird about this. I just think we should leave the rug where it is and never move or talk about it again. Okay, enough of that. What you see on the screen is another mistake of mine, mainly trying spray paints without any primer. I think I ended up putting like 20 coats on this piece. I'm not entirely sure what my thought process was to get to. I don't need any primer, but I do need a top coat. So that obviously didn't work out great. Also, you'll notice after the carpet debacle, I upgraded from pizza box to cardboard tape to my garage floor. This worked better, but not great. If you've used spray paints before, especially if you are not spraying directly at the floor or wall from a fairly close distance, you'll know those paint particles get everywhere. So it's not too bad for this build as I was laying stuff on the ground, but I don't keep that up because painting things that way is a mistake. It's a mistake for a couple reasons. First, without anything to hold the pieces in place, they'll be blown all over the place. Second, the pieces are not made to lie flat, so you won't have smooth application angles for the paint. Third, the paint will drip/stick to the cardboard below, and when you pull it off, it will cause paint defects and/or warping. I'm sure there's other drawbacks, but just all around, not a great way to go about it. Anyway, when I do get alligator clips to hold pieces in place and spray paint them that way, most of the paint will fly several feet past the little cardboard I have on the ground and cover my garage floor with paint particles. The solution to this is not what I end up doing eventually, which is to tape another 6 feet out of cardboard. The paint particles still get everywhere. There's really two ways to go about this. You can find a nice area outside when it's nice out and not windy. Just be sure you are wearing a respirator, as you should always do when using spray paints. Not surprisingly, I wasn't aware of this at first, so don't be stupid like me. You would have thought the fact that Walmart checked my ID to verify I was old enough to purchase the spray paint would have clued me into the fact that there might be something dangerous or potentially harmful about them, but no. Unfortunately, they only checked my physical age and not my intellectual one, which is probably good for me because otherwise I'd only have access to eat with is plastic utensils while under supervision. Anyway, if you are going to paint inside cardboard in a corner of the garage, covering both the floor and wall you will be spraying against is the way to go. And for the record, I am aware of paint boxes, but if you are too cheap or broke to get an airbrush, you're not going to be buying a paint box large enough to actually work for a spray can. Getting back to the video at hand, you can see I've been panel lining absolutely everything. Basically, if a piece had any degree corner or crease I could drag the paneling pen across, I did so. This was a very long and tedious process. I also would learn this really isn't the best way to go about this, but my thought process at the time was I was going to panel line the individual pieces, then put the shiny top coat over them, locking in the paneling. This doesn't work out great for me. This is because while I do wait for the lining to dry, again, there is no primer for it to stick to. So what ends up happening is when the top coat is sprayed over it, which I admittedly probably do too much of, the chemicals of the top coat end up mixing with the panel ink and flowing across the pieces, causing varying degrees of ink smears, which is only made worse by the fact that when the top coat dries, it basically locked in the smeared ink. It's not very noticeable at a distance, and overall the model still ends up looking fine, but it is definitely noticeable upon up-close inspection and certainly on particular pieces. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty heartbroken at the time, especially since I just carefully and tediously panel lined each individual piece to make sure it would look super nice. Now, I've not done a lot of panel lining as I've gotten more into custom paint jobs, but here's my advice for those who do want to panel line, or how I would go about it in the future. So, if you are not doing anything complex, no custom paint or alterations, you just want the panel lining to accent the build, then I would just stick with that, easy enough. If you are going to add a top coat in order to protect your model and increase its longevity, I would either go very light on the paneling and make sure anything I rub my finger across doesn't leave any smearing behind, then be light on the top coat application. Or if you want to be really safe or are doing some custom colors, then you really need to put down primer before lining. Also, backpedaling for a minute here, I also wanted to explain why I wouldn't do individual pieces like this again. That's because every layer of paint you add, even top coat, makes the piece thicker. This can cause issues then when fitting pieces together, either because the size is ever so slightly off when trying to snap them together, or in the case of joints, it causes issues with moving parts, sticking and scrapping. Now that I have a few more builds under my belt, what I like to do is top coat large put together sections. For example, I might have the arms, shoulders, legs, pelvis, torso, head, backpack, and weapons all built, but separated out to top coat at once. I think it provides a smoother and more even finish. Once dry, then I will put together the last 6 or 7 large parts. So now fast forwarding a bit, I do put on all the decals for this build, and I did take video of the entire thing. However, as I believe I added a little explanation on screen coming up sometime in the next 1 to 2 minutes, the video didn't turn out very well. Basically, the decals are so small and mostly transparent, you really couldn't tell what the heck I was doing from the video. You could tell I was doing or trying to do something, but basically nothing else. It also didn't help that me cutting out most of the decals happened off screen, so there was really no good reference for what was going on. In the end, I just ended up deciding to cut the footage entirely. That's really about all I wanted to cover for this build. Oh wait, almost forgot. I think I did make it through this build without making myself bleed. I'm pretty sure I somehow managed to pinch my finger meat really bad with the nippers, but it only left a nasty bruise and nothing broke through the skin. Which doesn't really seem like it should be impressive enough to mention, except I'm pretty sure this is the only model for my first 8 builds I managed not to draw my own blood, so it's impressive to me. I mean, you should realize by now the bar to impress me is very low. Anyway, there's about 2 minutes from now until the finishing of the build, where I took some cool pictures and added some effects to them while playing around and seeing what I could do. Unlike the build itself, I'm actually rather proud of that part. It's by no means the greatest ever done, but I think it's a solid second try I at least don't think is embarrassing. So go ahead and check that out, and until it comes up, I'm just going to put music in the background. Thanks for watching. Any liking, subscribing, donations, etc., always appreciated.